When your society is messed up, what do? You look for the weakest people in the society for you to blame. And that weak people are LGBTQIA plus individuals. And you are told constantly that you are going to go to hell, that your life is horrible, that your life is a mistake, that you are a sinner. Do you know what that does to a young child who does not have the power to speak for themselves? That is freaking horrible. That was the part I struggled the most with. Trying to live my life for other people. Trying to live my life for other people and not being myself. Performing for them. Seeking for validation, for acceptance, for permission. And that really was killing me slowly at the time. Maybe you don't need to look. I struggled with my sexuality as a gay Igbo man massively. And this is something I haven't really talked about that much. I have talked about it in some ways, but I haven't really gone into it the way I would have wanted. But now we're going to talk about it. I struggled with it for a really long time. The reason why I struggled with this the most as well is because of my upbringing, because of me having a lot of older siblings, my family dynamics and things like this. A lot of LGBTQIA plus individuals of African descent from Africa can relate to this. It is horrible, especially if you are someone that grew up in the church. You were raised a Christian Catholic, like someone like me. I was raised Catholic. I went to a Catholic secondary school, went to Our Lady of Fatima Catholic Church in Kano when I was growing up. So this whole thing has taken me to a place whereby I felt at a point that I'm a sinner, that it is sinful, that I'm going to go to hell, that my life is horrible, that my family will never ever love me if they happen to find out. So many things played in my head. Rejection played in my head, me not having financial support. All of these things were the things that was going on in my head. Can you imagine if you are a child that discovered who you are early in your life and all you are hearing from majority of the people around you, homosexuality is a sin, that heaven and hell does exist and things like this. My goodness, it did a number on me massively. I never knew that I would be able to be living my life the way I'm living my life today. I went to this Catholic boarding school where a lot of the times boys will say things to some boys that they think is gay. They will call them woman rapper or mekanwanya. It's like you behave like a girl. There was so many name calling. I had this particular teacher that was very kind to me when I was in secondary school. Maybe she knew I was gay, maybe she did not, but she was so freaking kind to me. Can you imagine growing up in a society where you can see and can perceive and you know that you can never be yourself, that getting married to a fellow man would never be something that will happen? Sitting here today, independent, able to take care of myself, able to fend for myself, able to do things for myself, I have come a long way. I was lucky that my mother was never Higi and Haga. I never received any hatred from my mother personally, from my father personally. If this video happens to help, even if it is one person, one young person that is not able to live their life yet the way they want to live their life, I will be extremely happy. Family. We all have family. There are family structures. These are people that are supposed to love you. This is where you belong. This is everything that you are. When you are a gay person, you don't want to not be a part of this family unit. You want to be part of this. You want to know that you have people that you can go back to. You have this family that you never want to disappoint, because you are seeing yourself as a disappointment. You are seeing yourself as being something that is wrong. You are seeing yourself as a mistake. You see yourself as a taboo based on the things you've picked up, and you will not want to disappoint this family of yours. And the expectation that you're going to become a man, have children, do what men do, you will be living with this massive guilt. These were the things I was struggling with. How am I going to do this? My family is going to be ashamed of me. I am going to bring shame to my family. I am going to make my family a laughing stock. I won't be able to give them grandchildren. A lot of these things was playing in my head, and I was freaking struggling massively, and I was not able to tell anybody this, that all of this are going through in my head. This whole unspoken expectation to carry the family name, marry, have grandchildren, and all of these things, it can be heavy. I did not know that you can come out and you have some of your family members that will be in support of you, the ones that will surprise you, and then you have the ones who will not surprise you, who will not want to speak to you, who will do madness towards you. If this is one of your problems, that you are struggling with your family, with your sexuality, I think this is something that you need to rethink. At the end of the day, we are in 2026 and beyond. It is the modern times. You can have children as same-sex couple. The teenage child Charles did not know that you can be able to have children as a gay man. Rejection. It was one of my biggest fears. It was one of the things that really made me struggle, because I did not want to not be able to have the people I grew up with speak to me, have the people that loved me not be in my life. Rejection can be extremely hurtful. I have faced so much rejection that my little heart at one point was not able to take. The rejection that is the most painful is the rejection from people that are supposed to love you, from people that are not strangers, from your friends, from your family, from the people that you think are going to be in your life forever and ever. It is extremely painful in the deepest way possible. It is excruciating. It is debilitating. It is soul crushing. One of my biggest fears was this, and that happened. Some of my relatives don't speak to me anymore. Some of my friends don't speak to me anymore. I was saying to myself, if I come out, none of these people are going to be in my life. What do I do? Do I come out and lose all of these people? Or do I just pretend and be somebody that I'm not for them to love me? That was something that I sat down to think deeply and said to myself, I am never going to not be myself. I am going to go ahead to confront this and speak my mind and say that this is who I am. And that happened. I got rejected. Some of these people left and are no longer speaking to me. But here I am, expressing and saying what I did go through. If you are someone that is LGBTQIA+, there is always a silver lining. It is always brighter on the other side. That rejection will not kill you. As they say, what won't kill you will make you stronger. And I am a living proof of that. My freaking goodness, I thought that if I come out, I'm going to not be able to live my life, that this life would just be so empty with some of these people that I have known all my life. But I don't speak to some of them anymore. I am here living my life and I don't even think of them anymore. Majority of them, I wish them well. I want them to do well for themselves. But no. I don't care anymore. The thing with rejection is that when this happens, it can be heavy. It's heavy and difficult for you to just stand up and walk away from people that probably have been with you all your life. It is heavy, it is difficult, but you will be better for it. You will feel better for it. You will have a lot of clarity. You will have a lot of strength and happiness. Religion. Growing up as a young Igbo boy, sitting there and hearing that homosexuality is a sin, is sinful, does a massive number on you. It does a massive number on you because you are there constantly, maybe in the church, and people are always saying that you should go to hell, that this is not something that we do here, this is something that is going to send you to hell, that you are dirty, you need to be converted to become a better person, you are a sinner, you need to repent. This does a massive harm to you emotionally, mentally, and otherwise. And this is part of one of my biggest struggles. And this is the reason why today I don't go to church anymore. I don't believe in Christianity anymore because, boy, they messed us up big time. I did First Holy Communion, confirmation, and everything in the Catholic Church. And you will go to something we used to call catechism, and then you listen to them, and older people talk about how all of this gay thing is a sin. Like, I grew up in Kano and it is called Yanda Wudu, and you hear a lot of this nonsense. You are there listening to people talking about you, literally, that you're broken, Do you know what that does? Religion is one of the massive tool of control that is used, that is weaponized a lot of the time against and towards queer people to tell us that we are wrong. And if you've been in a society and you are in a place where you grew up listening to people saying that you are wrong, that you are a sinner, you will now internalize this and you take it up and you grew up and you become an adult. And then if you are not careful, you will struggle for the rest of your life. That was me. I struggled throughout my teenage years because of religion, because of the preachings and sermons I hear in the Catholic Church and in the church. I struggled massively because of this. And religion hasn't stopped up until today. It still continues to be used as a tool to control people, to tell people that they are wrong, instead of them using it to preach love, kindness, compassion, and empathy. It is not used in that way, especially for homosexuals like me. Talking about this actually is really, really painful because this is part of the reason why a lot of LGBTQIA+ individuals struggle. The influx of a lot of these modern times evangelical churches was one of the reasons why homophobia is rife in Nigeria and a lot of African countries. That is when preachings about prosperity and power came into play. When your society is messed up, what do? You look for the weakest people in the society for you to blame. And that weak people are LGBTQIA+ individuals. And you are told constantly that you are going to go to hell, that your life is horrible, that your life is a mistake, that you are a sinner. Do you know what that does to a young child who does not have the power to speak for themselves? That is freaking horrible. Weaponizing religious beliefs and you being holier than thou is horrible. It doesn't make you a good person. Actually, you are a sinner. You are mean. You are horrible. It means that you are cruel. You are wicked. And a lot of these religious people who do these things are not good people. Because if you are a good person, some of the religious teachings I received in the Catholic Church preaches that God is love. You should come one, come all, that everybody is welcomed in the house of God. That is not the experience I had as a gay Igbo boy growing up. And that is not the experience I continue to have now. A lot of these things continues to happen up until today. The only difference is that I am stronger, I am grown, I am now mature, I have done the work on myself, I can defend myself, I know how to regulate myself, I know that I'm not a mistake, I know that I'm not a taboo, I know that I'm not a sinner, I know that I'm not sinful, I know I am fabulous, I am the light, I am amazing, and I'm doing what needs to be done. Because of all of these things, I no longer struggle. Prior to getting to this stage of my life, I struggled like hell. Culture. The Igbo culture and the African culture is based on duality, flexibility, and balance. A lot of our people don't see this anymore because they've grown to conflict culture and religion and imported homophobia by way of colonization. So our culture really now, in the way they see it, does not have space for queer people like you and I. So because of it doesn't have space for that, you are seen as someone that is un-African, as a Western import, that this is something that doesn't happen here. This is not part of our culture. We don't do it here. Every of these things that they are explaining to us queer people, that they used to condemn us as queer people, are things that was imported by way of colonization because it is homophobia. It is not our culture. When you are a queer person like me, you are a gay Igbo man and you are from Africa, you are from Nigeria, it can be hard when people constantly tell you that you are not part of this place. You don't belong here. What do? You go back into your shell, you shrink yourself, you begin to struggle. You begin to internalize a lot of these things. You begin to feel that this is your story, that this is true about your culture, and you then continue to struggle. And if you are not careful, you will struggle for the rest of your life. That you need to choose between your culture and your identity. As if there are no gay Igbo people, as if there are no gay African people. That is why a lot of these people will say to you, you cannot be an Igbo person and be gay. You cannot be an African person and be a homosexual and be a lesbian. I am here to tell you, you are gay, you are African, you are this person. This is all part of you. That is who you are. Did I know this as a child? Absolutely not. Did I know this as a teenager? Not at all. Did I know some of the things I know today? Absolutely not. For a young child like this, what do you expect? Struggle, misery, pain, horror. And that is why a lot of us LGBTQIA plus individuals of African descent from Africa struggle because of this imported homophobia by way of colonization that our people have taken to be their culture. And that is a massive problem. That is why a lot of our people need to start unlearning some of the nonsense. A lot of our people don't know that African queer people have always existed. The only difference today is that we are made to be silent. We have always existed and we will continue to exist even when I'm no longer on this earth. Expectations. It comes with a lot of pressure. The pressure to appear to be a certain kind of man, the pressure to be alpha male, to be masculine, to be powerful. I do not understand this because masculinity does not have anything to do with your mannerisms, does not have anything to do with you being a gay person, does not have anything to do with you being strong. It has everything to do with you being respectful, being a kind person, being a good leader, supporting, respecting your wife, and being a pillar of the community in the best possible way, and not being a liar, not being higgy and haga. It is not about the size of your manhood. It is not about how strong you are. It is about, are you able to do what is required of you for the community? Are you a good person? There's so much to masculinity. If you are a queer child, a queer man, maybe you are a queer man that is effeminate, or you feel like you're not strong because people are constantly talking and saying that you are not a man. Like some people have spoken to me. They will say to me, oh, Mrs. Madam, do you know some people come to ask me for money and they will call me ma'am, madam, and you're asking me for help. So when you hear things like this, because you're expected to be a particular kind of masculine man, and because you're gay, you may internalize a lot of this nonsense. Being expected to protect, to be the pillar of the community, to produce grandchildren, expectations that you should do all the things that a man is required to do. Because in their head, once you are a gay man, you will never, ever, ever be able to do any of these things. That is what they believe in. You begin to carry everyone else's expectations of what you should be instead of what you should be for yourself. That was the part I struggled the most with. Trying to live my life for other people. Trying to live my life for other people and not being myself. Performing for them, seeking for validation, for acceptance, for permission. And that really was killing me slowly at the time. Internalized homophobia, that is one of the worst. I hated myself for being gay. I disliked myself for being gay. I thought I was a sinner. I hated everything about homosexuality. It was horrible because everything I heard about gay people was not good. I became shameful. I was ashamed of being a gay person. Because of all of this, I internalized this, that it was a sin, that I'm sinful, that I'm a taboo, that I'm wrong, that everything about me is not right. All of this was not intense until I got to like 18 years old. It started to be a problem when I got to secondary school. And then when I got to 18, it became worse. Internalized homophobia is one of the biggest things that happens to a lot of us queer people. This can happen where it results into you repressing and suppressing your feelings, trying to act like it is not there, not wanting to be around men. I'm going to give an example here. I have a friend that I grew up with. I've known him since I was a child, and we happen to know that both of us are gay. He is so repressed. He is still suffering from internalized homophobia up until today. I have tried my best so much to get him to understand that he is not wrong. Society's voice gets into your head. The things that are said to you gets into your head, and that is the hardest one to unlearn because you're hearing all of these things. You're hearing it constantly. Even up until today, I still hear the same thing. I don't struggle with internalized homophobia anymore, but I still hear the same thing all the time. So can you imagine if you are not strong and you continue to hear something like this? That will repress you for the rest of your life. You will be thinking that everything is a sin. Like the boy that came on my TikTok live stream a few weeks ago and was saying that he thinks he's a sinner because of his gay. That is what those kind of messages that you get from society that people say around you and things like this does. Visibility. And there were no others. Nobody. I could not see anybody visible. Growing up in Nigeria as a gay Igbo boy, I did not see anyone that was living their life visibly that will make me not struggle. There was nothing at all. And not seeing anybody speaking about it, living their life openly, being visible and doing things like this, you begin to see yourself as an anomaly. You begin to see yourself like you are abnormal, like there's something wrong, that this is wrong. Before you know, you are shrinking, bending yourself backwards. You are no longer trying to live your life. You are not even able to say to yourself, I'm okay with who I am. Nobody was visible. I started saying that this is wrong. Maybe I'm alone. Nobody's like me. So I need to hide. I need to be secretive. I need to make sure nobody finds out. Even if I happen to meet anybody that is like me, it's just the two of us. We need to be quiet about it. That was when I also met my friend. Hush, hush about it. Everything was in hiding. I remember when I would go and see him in Kano, I would come to their house. We'll be in the sitting room, we'll hide everything, and we were trying to discover things we were watching at the time. It was horrible. Fear of violence. I was scared of being attacked, of being beaten, maimed, or being killed. At the time I grew up in Kano, it wasn't as bad as it is in Nigeria now, where they have things they call keto. Keto is when they lure you into a situation that you're coming for a date or something, and then they attack you, and sometimes they can unalive you. Because of fear of violence, I was so careful, extremely wary of what I was doing. And because of this, it made my life difficult. It made me extremely miserable, extremely unhappy. There was nobody to speak to about this. There was no outlet. I couldn't tell my brothers. I couldn't tell my mother. I couldn't tell my aunties. I couldn't tell my sisters. There was nobody whatsoever to share what I was going through. It was just never about acceptance, actually. It was about survival. I was constantly on survival mode. A lot of people who are like me in a lot of African countries, in a lot of places in the world, are on survival mode because of who they are. And that is a horrible place to be. Living in constant fear of being found out. There is so much that you are afraid of because you're constantly fearing if your family finds out, they are going to stop supporting you financially. They are going to stop supporting you. They may kick you out of the house. If your neighbors find out, they may beat you. If people find out in your school, they will bully you. It was a lost situation. Mental health. That is something a lot of people don't talk about because in my culture, you are expected to be strong. You are expected to be all macho, powerful. You are not expected to be weak. So if you are struggling mentally, or you are depressive, or you are suicidal, or one of those things, trigger one in here, you are not allowed to say it. Power on. Continue to live your life. Nobody talks about the mental struggles where people go through, the mental struggles LGBTQIA plus individuals go through. You are not given the grace to express yourself because who are you going to speak to? Nobody's going to listen to you. If you speak to anybody, they will spank you, smack you, attack you, maim you, and do all sorts to you. The anxiety of living a double life. I constantly was lying. I would tell them that I have a girlfriend. That was what I was doing. That is not a good place to be. The mental exhaustion, mental struggle of constantly trying to perform that you are a straight man. All of these things breaks you in ways that takes years and years and years and years to heal from. Therapy did a lot of wonders for me. Therapy is one of the reasons why I am here today because I figured out a lot of things. There were things I couldn't talk about, I couldn't complain about, I couldn't express earlier in my life that I was able to deal with by way of going to see a therapist. And I still do that from time to time. I go to therapy. That is something that I think that a lot of LGBTQIA plus individuals, if you are able to afford, you should go to therapy because my goodness, a lot of us carry massive trauma. The journey of acceptance. It took me a long way to get to this point, to get to the point where I say to myself, never again. I will not make myself small again. I will not shrink again. I will live my life unapologetically. You can cut me off. You can decide to be out of my life and I will be fine. It took me a long way to get here and I am here with a lot of clarity, power, a lot of strength, a lot of wisdom, dedication. What won't kill you will make you stronger. I kept choosing myself. Every time when everything around me said I shouldn't. I kept saying to myself, my peace of mind is paramount. My mental well-being is paramount. My health is paramount. These are my non-negotiables. I said I am going to choose myself every time, because at the end of the day, I am the one that is going to suffer mentally and emotionally, and I chose not to be doing that to myself. I started to build a community. I found my voice. I started the Igbo Queer and Unfiltered podcast. I started the African Gay Igbo vlog channel. I became visible. I started living my life authentically as the gay Igbo man that I am, because I am a gay Igbo man who is juicy, glowy, sexy, moisturized, hydrated, and unbothered. It took me a long way to get here, and I am here. You get to a point where you say no to all of this nonsense. I am not going to shrink myself anymore. I am not going to see myself as a sinner. I am not going to see myself as a taboo. Internalized homophobia is not my portion. I am a gay man. I am going to live my life as a gay man. I am going to dress however I want to dress. I am going to show up in the world the way I want to show up. And this should be the same for you. Thank you so much for watching. Listen to Igbo Queer and Unfiltered podcast. The podcast is released every Tuesday. You can listen to the podcast on every podcast platform that you listen to your podcast on. The podcast has a YouTube channel as well. You can subscribe to that. Have a wonderful time. I will see you in the next one.